All right, Osches. So we spoke about the fact that there's this interconnection between all of humankind, all of humankind, or people are interconnected, or at least the Jewish people are interconnected in the sense of Kol Yisrael Revim Zelazeh, and that has implications in the sense that if a person connects themselves to others, to people greater than them, then they're able in some way to get impacted by those people who are greater than them. However, there is another implication of this, and that is, and we're still in the middle of Osches, v'amnam. Al pi shorish zen nistar shiagiu tzaros v'yistar ish tzadik. There is another implication of this, not only in the sense that when we connect ourselves to righteous people, will we be the recipient of some of their goodness, but also the sense that sometimes righteous people will suffer. Doro. And the reason for this and the implication of this is that it's going to bring about atonement to the whole generation. Okay, so meaning, if we're all connected, then something that happens to one person can actually have tremendous ramifications for many others as well. In as much as we're connected in the sense that if someone does something wrong, I can be punished through their deeds. Or if I connect myself to someone good, I can be rewarded for their good deeds. The same is true for suffering. That if one righteous person suffers, that could have a kapara, that could have an atonement for the entire generation. It's important that whenever there is such suffering, that the recipient of the suffering receives it with simcha, with ahava, with a love. There's this idea that if a person receives it with the right mindset, then it's going to work. If a person is upset about it, a person is angry about it, a person is pushing back against it, then it doesn't have the same effect. In as much as we certainly should be able to receive with love. If God goes ahead and says, I'm going to punish you in this world. Why is God punish you in this world? Ultimately for your good. Because what that would mean is then you get to the next world, you're going to have a cleaner slate. You would accept that with love. It might be hard, but you say, thank you, Hashem. Thank you. At the end of the day, I'm going to receive this suffering so that it'll enable me to have better position in the world to come. So similarly, the tzaddik has to recognize, the tzaddik has to feel a connection to the rest of the Jewish people and be able to say to themselves, even if I'm not worthy of this, if this is being done for other people, thank you, Hashem, because ultimately my role in life is to be there, is to look out for other people, and therefore the tzaddik should accept that with love as well. Love, in doing so, it is bringing about good for the generation, and of course it brings about even greater goodness to the recipient of the suffering, because in doing so they become the heads in the gathering in the world to come. So this is a critical factor. Again, these are all different factors in terms of why things happen to someone. And what he's describing over here is that sometimes there will be an individual, a righteous individual, but how do we define who's righteous? Does it mean the person necessarily that has an article book about them? Maybe, but there might be other people as well. Individuals who on their own merits may not be getting suffer, they may not be receiving suffering for something they did. They may be facing this difficult life, not for something they did, but because we're connected, their suffering is going to bring about goodness, is going to bring about a cleansing for all of humankind, for at least for the Jewish people, and by extension, all of humankind. And it's critical, though. Okay, so that's point number one. It's critical that when we take this mindset, we're able to say, wow, I am here, I live my life dedicated to others, and therefore, this is good. I'm not deserving this. Okay, it's not about me. If I live my life really the true mindset for others, then I'm able to receive this with ahava, I'm able to receive this with love, and say to myself, okay, I may not be worthy of, and this is such an important thing to remind ourselves at times when we feel like this is unfair. We say this is unfair. Now, again, it's very hard to know unfair, but based on all the different reasons we're seeing. But even if a person comes to that point, for them to stop themselves and say, this might be happening, not because of me, maybe, but maybe for the sake of all of Klal Yisrael. And thank you, Hashem, because I love all of Klal Yisrael, I love all the Jewish people, and I want them to be atoned. I want them to be cleansed from their sins, and therefore I receive it with love. That love comes from a place of a true love for Klal Yisrael, for the Jewish people, and in doing so, then it actually has the effect. But if I'm going to reject it, then that whole connection doesn't exist anymore. If I'm going to say, I don't want this, then what does that say about the connection that exists? It's not there. And therefore, it doesn't actually work. So it's critical that I accept it with love, because in doing so, then it actually works, but that love comes from a place of saying, I love the Jewish people, I see them as one and the same as me, and therefore I will take a bullet, I will take suffering in order to bring about an atonement for them. That is okay, because my purpose in life is not just about me, but it's about everyone that I'm connected to, i.e. the Jewish people. And so it's an inspiring, I believe to be an inspiring mindset, but one that again has to be done with the right mindset to say, I'm doing this, the ahava, and only then will it be effective. Okay.